What's up YouTube? Barcode here. I'm bringing you another Epic 7 video. This video is going to be about 4-star characters that you should definitely focus on if you obtain them in the summons. Just a disclaimer, I don't have a lot of these characters. However, I played Summoner's War for about 4.5 years, and I'm playing other gacha games, and I just have a lot of experience, and a lot of these characters are pretty similar to Summoner's War type of mentality. So strategy wise, this is just my opinion, but this is how I feel on the 4-star characters that I'm going to talk about. Okay, let's go into the journal and the hero journal so I can kind of point out exactly which ones are ones. Just a disclaimer too, in my last video for 3-star champions, I did forget one champion that I wrote down and I just kind of glanced over and didn't really talk about her, is Tiara. She's kind of like a 3-star type of Vertiheal, Summoner's War people type of champion that her passive is pretty good. It increases the combat readiness of all allies by 10% every time she takes a turn and takes a hit. Her base speed's pretty good, it's 112. So for a 3-star champion, that's pretty good. And she has a defense down, so it's just she's a good character for a 3-star. However, now we're into 4-star characters. I want to talk about someone that's comparable to her, as well as many others. So I'm just going to start out with Silk. I talked about her in the connections video, but she's definitely a good 4-star character to focus on. She attacks all enemies on her skill 3, so she always uses that first, decreasing speed of all the enemies and increasing speed of yourself and your whole team. So that's, you know, it's a double bonus. You decrease their speed, increase your team's speed. It's just good. And then her single target decreases the single target enemy, their combat readiness down. Talking about Tiara, I wanted to talk about a 4-star champion that's comparable and is a little bit harder to build because you need pretty much 100% crit rate. But that would be Cherie, so Fire Ranger. His ultimate shoots all enemies, so hits all enemies, does a pretty amount of damages, but it decreases all of their enemies' combat readiness by 20%. So build him speedy, and then with the passive, every time you crit, it increases your team's combat readiness by 15. So if you use Silk and then him together, decreasing all their speed, increasing your whole team's speed, decreasing more combat readiness of the enemies, increasing your team's combat readiness when you crit, it's just a definite character you want to do. He also applies poison. I talked about poison in my last video. Poison is definitely the best damage over time debuff you can use. It's against the enemy's max health. So definitely a character you should definitely focus on if you pull him anyway. Another character I wanted to talk about was Sid. So Sid, I like him. He's a lot of single target damage, and is speed based. So if you apply like a speed buff and attack up, that's where he can shine and do a ton of damage. So most of his damage is increased when he has a speed buff and does more speed. The thing I like about him is that his base speed is 126. So the base speed of that is one of the highest in the game, and if you have like a wombo combo, get a defense breakdown down on an enemy, get a speed buff on him, and he can probably one-shot any water champion for sure, if built right. So definitely a good champion to use. Another one would be Akatis. She is a Soul Weaver, so she's comparable to this Destina, which is the net 5-star nature healer, but she dispels all debuffs from your allies and heals them. Also has a single target heal and makes them invincible. So and decreases attack on the single target basic skill. So definitely a great healer to build up if you pull her. The next one I wanted to talk about was Roman. So Roman is an AoE mage, has 2 AoE skills, the third one and the second one. The skill 3, his AoE hit dispels all buffs. So if you don't have anyone that can remove buffs from the whole enemy team. He's definitely a good 4-star that you want to choose. And then also when you remove buffs, it applies a poison. Like I said, poison is great, so definitely good to use. The second skill, the second skill, if you're fast enough, it increases his third skill. Increases his own combat readiness by 50%. So if you build him super fast, he can, you know, use the gravitation, the second skill, pretty quickly, attacks all the enemies with the ability to decrease their combat readiness by 50% twice. So just another great AoE skill to use. And then his his single target basic skill decreases their combat readiness and increases his self combat readiness by 8%. So definitely a good water champion to use. Another one that I wanted to point out was Angelica. Angelica is another Soul Weaver. She has an AoE shield and then AoE immunity for your team, and then single target heal, which will also heal a second ally as well. It depends on it depends on their health anyway. So it's just a great, and all 3 heals are based off of her own max HP. So you build her fast and tanky with a lot of HP, and she's a great healer for you guys. Some honorable mentions too, and before I go into the light and dark characters, is Armin. So Armin is a tank class, and has on skill 3 grants them a barrier and also heals them as well. So if you want to build like some kind of stall defense, which you know, stall tanky defense, which I'll talk about in a different video for arena comps, but it's definitely a good front line for you. And then attacks all enemies, decreasing their hit chance and inflicting poison. So and increases his own his or her. I don't know the genders of half of these people, so half of them are traps. Anyway, so increases self-defense, so a good frontline character, and with the ability to stun as well. So that's always good. Another honorable mention would be Corvis. So Corvis is a fire warrior, and is a stun champion. So the skill 3 grants an extra turn, but the thing with this skill 3 is once you use it, it increases his own defense, self-heals, and then adds extra abilities to the other 2 skills. For the Shield Slam, which is the basic attack, it decreases the enemies, you can stun them anyway, is what I meant. And then the second skill, which the added ability, decreases the enemy's combat readiness twice. So once you use this third skill, you get an extra turn. He uses Macerate, decreasing their combat readiness, and if their combat readiness is at 0, it stuns them. So just a great frontline 4-star character. If you need someone that, you know, kind of like a stall defense, put Armin and Corvis together, might be pretty good. They're both, you can build them tanky, whatever the case may be. So another honorable mention, which is Maya, which she's in the connections too. I didn't want to talk about her too much because you can pull Cecilia, which is a nat 5, and she's pretty comparable to Cecilia. She has the AoE provoke and a AoE lower attack on the same skill, on the first skill. Her base speed is actually pretty good, so you can build her speedy if you wanted to for like a wombo combo type deal. As a front line, but it increases defense of all allies as well. So her skill 3 is actually really good. I have Cecilia myself, so Cecilia kind of power creeps Maya in a way, and has better stats. So Cecilia is just a little bit better, but Maya can be good if you want to. If you want to build her if you don't have Cecilia, anyways. So. Another honorable mention would be Coley. So Coley is, if you need someone for, I don't know, like the Fire Hunt Dragon or whatever the case may be, she's a great single target damage dealer with a lot of combat readiness decreasing. So if you build her fast, which a lot of her skills are based off of proportionate to the caster's speed, so you build her fast. She has a pretty decent base speed, 111, but she will non-stop decrease the enemy's combat readiness almost on every skill, the skill 3 and skill 2. So definitely a good single target damage dealer with combat readiness decreasing. So Domine is another, which I have her. She's another honorable mention anyway. Kind of on a lower tier than what the other ones I talked about, but her AoE attacks all the enemies, has a chance to stun and decrease their combat readiness by 30%, so definitely a good wombo combo type person to use. Her second skill is pretty cool. It casts Reflect and Barrier on all the allies, which it depends on your attack and your gear, but it can be pretty good to reflect some damage and to absorb some as well from that shield. And then she has a single target speed decrease, so pretty good. So let's go into the light and dark characters. So the light and dark characters, you know, they're obviously harder to obtain, and I don't have most of them. And I do have one L&D 4-star, which is good. And all of them are actually really good in certain situations. A couple of them are trophies, but they all can be good and used. But I want to talk about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them that I feel like are on a higher tier than the rest of them. So the first one I would talk about, and probably one of the best 4-star light and dark characters you can get, is General Purges. So General Purges is like the Dark Anubis of Summoner's War. So his third skill rushes forward and attacks all enemies with a chance to stun 2 random enemies, but it increases attack of all your allies on your team for 2 turns. So the thing about this ultimate is, you know, his base speed isn't very high. However, his passive is amazing. So anytime he gets attacked, it increases all of your allies' combat readiness by 10%. So anytime that he gets attacked personally, your team gets a combat readiness boost. So they can, you can interrupt certain wombo combo teams that do, like, you know, double cleave AoE teams, and then be able to increase your team if you have them speed tuned right, increase the attack on your allies, and then, you know, with chance to stun too, to interrupt. The other team would need to have immunity to, you know, to benefit, to not, you know, they would not need immunity to not benefit from this skill if you have them on your arena defense or offense or whatever. But definitely a good champion to use if you pull him from the light and dark summons. A second champion I want to talk about is Celery. The skill 3 attacks all enemies with a chance to silence. So silence and lower skill cooldowns are huge in this game, especially if you have the first turn. So if you have the first turn, you're able to silence all the enemies or decrease their skill cooldowns of all the enemies. You have a chance to be able to do whatever you want with your team. Those types of skills, when they're AoE, is definitely a huge bonus to have on your team. She increases a single ally's readiness and attack by 80%. Not the attack, but gets the attack buff and increases combat readiness by 80%, so that's a good skill to have. And then she has a self-attack every time she uses her basic skill, so pretty good character to have. Another one would be Shadow Rose. So Shadow Rose, she has a low base speed, however, she's very gear dependent in my opinion. But her third skill is amazing. It increases the combat readiness of your team and decreases the combat readiness of the enemy team. So again, you can definitely pull out some wombo combos if you build her fast enough. Has a dispel, decreases defense, again, and she has a heal block as well. So definitely a good person to use. Another champion, light and dark, if you pull, is Assassin Chloe, or Coley, however you want to call it. So she's a speed nuker. All of her skills, except for her, well, yeah, all of her skills, which is 2, because she has a passive, is based off of proportion to her speed. So you want to build her definitely fast as well. But she has a silence as well. But that's only if you kill an enemy. So this is for a speed, pretty much a speed nuking team. She has a high base speed, one of the highest in the game, 126. So if you have a team that can get her to have an armor break, an attack up, and then kill one single enemy right off the bat before the enemies take a turn, she will silence all the enemies when that target's defeated. So definitely a good champion to have if you have the right team. She also, if she doesn't have any buffs, debuffs anyway, she has an 80% chance to increase her attack for 1 turn at the beginning of the turn. So again, she has a self attack up for an 80% chance. If you fully skill this up to 100%, which you would with 4 skills, she will definitely have the attack up buff first turn no matter what. So all you really need in the team comp is like maybe a combat readiness increase of your team, a defense break on one enemy, kill this enemy with Assassin Coley, and then the whole enemy team is silenced and they can't do anything. So definitely a good champion to have if you pull that. Another one is Crimson Armin. So Crimson Armin is like your Chloe of Summoner's War. Her 3rd skill has immunity and invincibility for 1 turn. The immunity is 3 turns, but the invincibility is only 1 turn. So she's definitely more, if you build her fast enough, she has a low base speed, so this is really gear dependent too. But if you get her to do first turn and then all the enemies go, they can't do anything unless they have an AoE Dispel. So definitely good to use. And also, if the enemy does this wombo combo on your team and hits everybody, her passive decreases damage from critical hits by 20%, and you can get that up 7 times. You know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% more. So decreases critical hit damage by 30%. So it's a really good passive per se. And the last one I want to talk about is Cochise the Dark one. What is that? Star Shooter or something like that? Shooting Star. Yeah, Shooting Star Cochise. So her 3rd skill is really good. It decreases. I mean it's like the dark character from Summoner's War. I can't remember her name, but you take an ally and herself, and whoever has the lower health, it balances out the 2, and then it heals on top of that. So definitely a good skill to use. But what I like is she's a reviver. So there's not many characters in this game that have a revive. And once she does revive, it grants immortality. So she can't be, that person cannot be killed or damaged unless that's dispelled. Well, no, I think immortality is just can't be killed. They can take damage, but just can't be killed. So you definitely need a dispel on the enemy side to strip that immortality from you. So if she doesn't revive, then she grants immortality to whoever and 2 random buffs for 3 turns. So it's a give or take. It's a 6-turn cooldown, so that can be situational if you want to use it or not. But definitely a good light and dark character to choose. So that's all the light and dark champions I have. Let's go ahead and do a little summon session real quick. I do have about 10 summons, 15, no, 11. I lied, 11. I'm going to try to get Deanne. So Deanne, she's a really good 5-star healer. It really depends on your team comp, but I want her, even though I have Angelica and a couple other healers, I don't have any 5-star healers. And I don't want her just because she's a 5-star. I want her because of the skills that she has, which I do like the fact that she has an attack increase for your whole team. I just the more variety I have on my team comp, the better. So if I don't want to bring Angelica because I can bring immunity with somebody else, I want to bring her so I can get an attack up on my team. So, and then she also has a barrier for 2 turns before dispelling debuffs. So if they have it really just depends on your team comp. But let's go ahead and just summon these out real quick and see what I get. Maybe I'll get something else, but I've already put in a decent amount of summons on this as a free-to-play on this banner, so I'm just hoping to get lucky before I get to 120 max summons the summoner. So, but we'll just skip through these real quick. Maybe get some golden books. But so far, halfway through, not having really good RNG luck here. Let me start this DHC run real quick. Okay. And let's see, 3 more. I need fodder anyway, so it's not a huge big deal if I don't summon anything good. Alright, so no golden books. No gold, but I did get summon Malging, and that's what I kind of want. I need 2 more to get another light and dark summon. So every time I get to about like 1,400 gems around there, I usually buy the premium pack of 950 gems to get the summons. So that's all the time I have today. Thanks for watching. Tune into the next video. Most likely my next video is going to be either arena comps or sanctuary tips, or like gold farming or things like that. So I will talk to you guys in the next video. Please tune in, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Also look me up on Twitch at baldbarcode.com. I usually stream early morning when I can. I've been a little busy lately, but definitely tune into that as well. So check you guys in the next video. Peace.